An ESPN insider just dropped a bombshell trade report on Micah Parsons after Jerry Jones spoke to the media for the first time following Parsons' trade request. We have the latest for you on the entire matter right here on Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. I appreciate you tuning into the show as always. Make sure if you're new, you hit that subscribe button. We're going to be your number one source for Cowboys news as we head into the 2025 NFL season. We all know about Micah Parsons' trade request. It is the talk of the town amongst Cowboys fans. But now Jerry Jones has spoken to the media for the first time following the trade request. And Adam Schefter kind of quoting the article from Todd Archer that we're going to talk about. And he said this, a part of that press conference and the overarching theme of the media session with Jerry Jones was that the trade request from Micah Parsons was just part of negotiation. Now, personally, my take on that is a completely false statement. I do not think this is part of the negotiation. Yes, Myles Garrett had something similar happen where he requested a trade and then ultimately signed a contract. And do I think that could happen? Yes, but the amount of detail that Micah Parsons went into in his Twitter post makes me a little more concerned than what it would have been for any other situation. Now, I do want to start by kind of going into Todd Archer's article and really just talking about everything that Jerry Jones said. So, Todd Archer starts off the article by saying this, quote, Micah Parsons' trade request Friday has not swayed Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones, who said he will not consider trading the star pass rusher. He continues on that has Jerry Jones saying, quote, I think the world of Micah and that request is just part of negotiation, end quote. So there's the big deal right there. He's stating that it is part of the negotiation tactics and that it was just going to be something that happened. Now, there was a little bit of talk going on at training camp yesterday. Micah Parsons was there. He was present. However, he was not in a practice jersey for the first time all training camp. In fact, he spent more time with the wide receivers, the quarterbacks, the running backs, and was more standing in between the two practice fields. In fact, we have a couple of places that have him literally like 10 feet away from Stephen Jones, and there was no discussion, no talking, nothing really with the discussion from Jerry Jones or Stephen Jones to Micah Parsons during the practice yesterday. That being said, it was an interesting thing to see Micah there, but I think maybe more interesting that he had been wearing his number 11 jersey for the entire time. Now, was he still in Cowboys gear? Yes, of course, because he's still on the team. But taking off the number 11 jersey is something that I didn't exactly like. Now, I still have hope that the Cowboys can get out of this even without the stupidity of Jerry Jones. But I get more and more concerned by the stuff that he says and the way that he says it about. Now, Jerry Jones, if you don't know, offered Micah Parsons a contract, and according to Jerry, Micah agreed to this contract when they were talking in private about leadership that turned into a contract. Well, Jerry Jones actually kind of reiterated some of that comments in his press conference. ESPN's Todd Archer here saying, quote, Jones reiterated that he and Parsons reached an agreement on a deal in March when they met in the owner's office. In his social media post, Parsons said the visit was supposed to be about leadership, and Jones turned it into contract negotiations. Parsons took that offer off the table, Jones said. Jones would not divulge specific details on the agreement, but made a reference to guaranteeing somebody almost $200 million in comments on Saturday. So, what we know is that in March, Jerry Jones called in Micah Parsons for what Micah describes as a leadership conversation. In there was discussion of a contract. Now, this was, by Micah's accounts, turned into contract negotiation after talking about leadership. This was more about that. And so, with that being said, Jerry Jones states that a contract was agreed upon between Micah and Jerry. Now, of course, he would not tell us the exact amount. Since then, there have been multiple pass rushers that have been paid, and we'll get to that in just a second. But guaranteeing over $200 million was mentioned on Saturday, and from the facts that we know, in terms of Micah's account, he specifically told Jerry Jones that that was not an offer he was considering because his agent was not present, and he wants his agent present for any talks about contract. Now, Jerry Jones continued on and kind of commented about this, saying, quote, "What y'all don't know is what I offered him, and it's a hell of a lot more than you think I did. That's what you don't know. But my point is, I reached. Make no mistake about it. I reached," end quote. Jerry Jones finds a way to surprise me with how he speaks about his own players time in and time out. I'm not going to say the quote because it doesn't even make sense to me, but in this media session, he also brought up Micah Parsons' contract and in a discussion brought up Des Bryant and a couple of other just random facilities like street corners in one statement. I read it about 15 times and it didn't make sense to me. Des Bryant then tweeted out saying, "You better stop bringing up my name. I've got a bunch of stuff that I could talk about you for." People, players don't like Jerry Jones. Fans don't like Jerry Jones. Whatever you can say, this guy has not been great to the Cowboys organization. And the fact that he is sitting here with a guy who has submitted a trade request that he says is going to stay with the Cowboys, saying that he reached on a contract that he offered him in March, I just question, if we want to have a talk about leadership, I think it belongs more Jerry Jones. Now, I did mention there have been multiple agreements of pass rusher contracts since then. Those include Myles Garrett, who had 4 years at $160 million. Garrett is the comparable one here specifically because he had put in a trade request from the Cleveland Browns and then signed the contract for $40 million a year. Now, TJ Watt signed a contract, 3 years, $123 million, which is $41 million per year. So, 3 contracts, 2 of them $40 million or $41 million. Micah Parsons, we don't know the years, $200 million. Based off what we're seeing, go back to the contracts here. Based off what we're seeing here, my thought is maybe if he said $200 million, I don't know though. I don't think he would have offered him more than 4 years. Maybe he offered him 4 for $200 and guaranteed it all, but that just is kind of a questionable statement to me that if he was going to offer him $200 million guaranteed, Micah would have accepted that by now. Now, from what we know, the Cowboys do not plan to trade Micah Parsons. What we don't know, though, is Micah Parsons going to play for the Dallas Cowboys if he is not traded? Is he going to continue to be on the field? Because he's already stated in that Twitter post that he does not want to be here. But will he keep playing? Now, as of right now, he is set to make $21 million in this upcoming season on the 5th-year option. Now, this is obviously without an extension this season. The Cowboys could use the franchise tag on Parsons in 2026 to 2028, though the last number would be at the cost of the top 5 highest-paid quarterbacks in the NFL, end quote. So, likely franchise tagging him is not going to be the right move when it's all said and done. Now, what exactly do the Cowboys do in this situation? Well, as we know, they are not planning on trading him. The Cowboys have made it clear that they want to work out contracts and that the trade requests are comparable to Myles Garrett and how it was just part of the negotiations. There is a little more, though, at the back end of this article that I feel needs to be all in one statement, so I just screen captured it because I think this is more important. Jones talked about how he was able to sign both Dak Prescott along with CeeDee Lamb last offseason and made them, top paid guys. And somebody brought that up on the press conference, and Jones had this to say, saying, quote, "I'm really glad you brought that up. It seems like that we forget that it's been less than a year, and I paid the highest that has been paid in the NFL to Dak. And I paid a big price for Lamb. Anybody that says I'm not interested in financially rewarding my players hasn't been looking at the tea leaves." He continues on to say, "So there's always negotiation, and the negotiation is to put the best team on the field. And many times, it's not even a question of deserving. I enjoy Micah, but as always, in any relationship, there's different moods at different times of your relationship. That's why it is. Don't lose any sleep over it. That's the one thing I would say to our fans. Don't lose any sleep over it." I'm losing sleep, Jerry. I'm losing sleep. And maybe it's not because he ends up getting traded. Maybe it's not because I'm worried that he's going to go play for the Eagles or the Commanders or the Patriots. But it's more because how many off seasons are we going to have to deal with this? Zach Martin had a similar situation back when. I'm tired of you waiting and waiting, and now we have a point where we have a player who literally we have seen does not like you. I mean, you can talk about you've had contracts, you've had negotiations. The reactions on his podcast, the facial statements he has made, the decisions that you have made against him prove that he is not high value enough to you when he continues to say that he came to you. Now, again, am I probably taking Micah Parsons' side on this? Am I taking what he has said for the truth? Yeah, probably I am. I'm probably a little too much. But that's because I truly have more faith in Micah Parsons than I do in Jerry Jones at this point. Now, Micah Parsons deserves the money, and the Cowboys should be the ones to pay him. Do I know what's going to happen, though? No, I do not. But for now, we sit here, we wait, and we hope that Jerry is right, and that at the end of the day, the Cowboys are able to sign him, and that the end of the contract, or the end of all this, is a deal done in works for Micah. So that's what we sit, that's what we wait, and I question you right now if you're still watching at the very end of this video. First of all, you're a real one. Second of all, do you believe Micah Parsons will be traded? Yes or no in the comment section. Let me know, but for now, that's all we got for you here on Cowboys Digest. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and we will see you next time here on the show. Peace out, guys.